Welcome back, everybody. The Michelle Carter trial rocked the country. This is the teenage girl from Fairhaven, now in prison for a 15-month sentence for urging her boyfriend, Conrad Roy, to commit suicide.
There was a recent HBO documentary about the case, and now there's a new bill under consideration here in Massachusetts called Conrad's Law, and it would make encouraging someone to commit suicide a crime. And joining us is the co-sponsor of that bill, Senator Barry Feingold from Andover. Thanks very much for coming in to discuss it. And what exactly would the bill do, and why did you want to get involved with this case?
It will narrowly focus on a crime where if someone coerces another person to take their life by suicide, then it'll be a criminal penalty. We are one of 10 states that do not have anything like this on the books. And in the Michelle Carter case, they had to use a charge of manslaughter, which is typically used for a shooting or something that is a lot more serious of an offense than typical something of this nature.
And part of the reason it drew national attention is because they used involuntary manslaughter, that statute, to convict her. What under this bill constitutes encouraging someone to commit suicide? Because one could imagine this becomes a slippery slope. Where do you draw that line?
Well, we made sure we narrowly tailored it to somebody. If you are someone that you have some type of relationship, that you're taking active steps to coerce someone, those are the things we're going to look for in a bill like this. One thing that we see is that young teenagers, they have these cell phones attached to their bodies, and they never really leave their friends. And the bullying that is going on is really out of control. And young people know that there's acceptable behavior and there's unacceptable behavior. And we want to send a message that if you're someone bullying, and if you coerce someone to, do something as extreme as what Conrad did, there's going to be a criminal repercussion for it.
Right. And we know in this case, under the statute, she was convicted because intent factored in, right?
Yeah.
What she did to encourage him to get back into the car, for instance, when he started to get out. So what about the argument about First Amendment rights in a case like this? Because, and the fact that Michelle Carter, for instance, wasn't even physically present with Conrad Roy when he made the ultimate decision. How do you protect the First Amendment here?
As someone who's a big believer of First Amendment and freedom of speech, there are certain things you can't do. I can't walk this room and scream fire. I can't file false police reports. So there are limitations, and the one thing we have to understand is that if you're going to do something that is harmful to another person, that coerces someone that's in a state of the mind of potentially committing suicide, there are going to be ramifications for that.
Do you think this could, especially given the prevalence of cell phones with teenagers, could this get out of hand at some point? Paul and I were talking earlier, there's this phrase that teenagers use now, why don't you kill yourself? Kill yourself.
Yeah.
Could you see someone who maybe says that in a joking way, their friend or their partner does that, and then all of a sudden they're looking at criminal charges?
There's a difference, because that person would have to know that you're thinking about committing suicide. So that's the big difference. If I say to you, jump off a bridge, I'd have to know that you are actually thinking about jumping.
So under this bill, there'd have to be evidence that the person had prior knowledge that the target had already had these suicidal thoughts.
What we really want young people to do, and we've worked on this on what we call the Sandy Hook Promise, which is a different bill we filed, is we want young people not only to not take this action, but to say, let me try to help you. Let me try to get you help. Call the Samaritans, get help. And we need to change our mindset about how we think about mental health, because so many young people have so many mental health challenges, and the last thing we want is bullying, and more importantly than that, what we really don't want is someone coercing someone into suicide.
And teenagers are educated now about how much more devastating seeing the written word is almost than even verbal.
When I was growing up, if my parents wanted to monitor what I was doing, they lift up the phone and say, okay, it's time to get off the phone. Now, as a father of teenagers, it is really hard to monitor what your teenagers are doing. So that's why we need the young people to step up and say, this is not acceptable.
There's another interesting factor here. While Conrad's Law is being considered, we had one of your colleagues here a couple of weeks ago talking about another piece of legislation being considered for assisted suicide in Massachusetts, and there were strict guidelines around that. You would have to have family members and a doctor's permission and whatnot. But how do you kind of reconcile those two proposals working their way through the legislature at the same time?
That's a great question, because many states that have this law on the book about making sure you don't coerce suicide, some have assisted physician suicide and some have outlawed it. So it does not mean that whether you allow physician-assisted suicide doesn't prevent us from having a law like this on the books.
But if someone knows that their family member has a terminal illness and says, you know, I do think you probably should end your life because you're in such pain.
Right.
Is that protected?
We have a carve-out in that provision.
That will be carved out. We will see where the bill goes. State Senator Barry Feingold, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.